On a map, Israel accounts for a tiny fraction of the world's landmass. It has a population of fewer than 10 million people, yet it receives more consistent U.S. backing than global giants with 10 times its population. Since World War II, the United States has sent tens of billions of dollars in military assistance to Israel. That total amounts to more cumulative U.S. foreign aid than any other country has received in modern history. Every American president since Harry Truman has maintained this bond. The connection survives regional wars, global outrage, and even the direct domestic pain of the 1970s oil embargoes. Support this deep doesn't bend. It survives shifting global politics and decades of controversy almost untouched, because the alliance is anchored by more than a simple diplomatic agreement. The alliance is actually 4 or 5 distinct relationships stacked on top of each other. Pull the threads apart, and you find history, strategy, theology, and money, each reinforcing the others independently. In 1948, President Harry Truman recognized the newly formed State of Israel within minutes of its declaration. He did this against the fierce objections of his own State Department, driven by personal sympathy after the Holocaust and significant pressure from Jewish American advisors. The strategic anchor dropped in 1967. During the Six-Day War, Israel decisively defeated a coalition of Arab states, proving to American planners that it was a highly capable military power in a volatile region. During the Cold War, Washington needed a reliable foothold, while the Soviet Union backed governments in Egypt and Syria. American strategists chose to invest in the strongest, most stable local partner they could find. Now that Cold War logic evolved into total military integration. Today, Israeli intelligence provides constant monitoring of counterterrorism and Iran, while the two nations co-develop weapons like the Iron Dome. American funding and Israeli engineering create technology that eventually flows back into U.S. defense systems. For defense officials, the alliance is a matter of cold strategic math. It functions as a transactional necessity rather than a choice driven by belief. Outside of the Pentagon, the alliance rests on a massive religious base. In the U.S., the loudest religious voice on Israel comes from evangelical Christians, representing tens of millions of voters. Many evangelicals follow a framework called dispensationalism, which reads the return of Jews to their biblical land as a necessary step toward the end times. They take the promise in Genesis 12:3, to bless those who bless Abraham, as a literal instruction for American foreign policy. This theology creates a highly organized political machine. Groups like Christians United for Israel organize pilgrimage tours by the planeload and hold annual summits where thousands of voters lobby Congress directly to maintain support. Jewish American support is driven by a different, existential logic shaped by the Holocaust. For a community that saw 6 million people murdered while the world was slow to act, a secure Jewish state is viewed as the only durable guarantee that statelessness never happens again. These two demographics arrive at the same destination from opposite directions. One is driven by prophecy, and the other by survival. But together they form a voting bloc that few politicians can afford to cross. This voting power is channeled through AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC mobilizes a massive donor network and grades every member of Congress on their voting record. Politicians who drift from their priorities often find their primary challengers suddenly flooded with financial support. This influence is the subject of a long-standing academic debate. Scholars like John Mearsheimer argue the lobby bends U.S. policy away from its own strategic interests, while others claim the lobby is simply organizing a public that was already predisposed to support Israel. Behind the lobbying and the religion is a fourth, often overlooked pillar: the shared economic interests between the two nations. Israel's startup nation economy is deeply woven into the fabric of Silicon Valley. Cybersecurity firms, semiconductor design, and medical technology create billions in trade and investment every year, forming an economic interdependence that operates independently of politics. AIPAC provides the political enforcement, while the tech sector provides the economic baseline, securing the alliance from both the top down and the bottom up. An evangelical voter, a defense official, a Silicon Valley investor, and an AIPAC-backed senator don't need to agree on why they support Israel. Their independent motives all pull in the same direction, creating an unusually durable foreign policy. This chart shows the long-standing public consensus is beginning to fracture, splitting along partisan and generational lines. The shift is most visible in voters under 30. Younger Americans and progressive Democrats express more criticism and more sympathy for Palestinians. This data drop-off is inextricably tied to the ongoing and visible conflict with the Palestinians. That friction is now a central part of how a new generation reads the entire history of the alliance. The institutional machinery of the alliance, the defense ties and lobbying power, remains rock solid for now, but the demographic shifts beneath it ensure that this relationship will remain the most fiercely argued over part of American foreign policy for the next generation.